Jericho music played, and here came Jericho and many of the appreciators. It was Sammy and Ty Conti and Anna Jay and Cool Hand Luke. Now, Daniel Garcia was not out there because he's going to be in the main event tonight, of course. Is Daddy Mac Daddy hurt, or did his head swell further and they had to ice it, or what has happened to him? He wasn't there.
I don't know. And at this point with AEW, I just kind of figure everyone's hurt.
So Jericho cut a promo on Moxley because Moxley's still in the ring. Now, we've had 20 minutes of this god-awful, shitty match, but now the Shakespeare comes into play where we're going to have our drama. So Moxley standing there listening to Jericho, and Jericho says that his role is better than Moxley's role. And I don't know what baked goods have to do with this. Jericho looks like somebody hit him in the face with Floyd, and not the barber, the bat. Between the gig marks and the broken nose and the black eyes and the... So then he talks for a minute, and then he hands the microphone to Anna Jay and let Anna Jay talk. Anna Jay is now Anna J-A-S, which is sort of like Nikki A-S-S. And I wrote at that point, God, this is local cable access wrestling school stuff. Her promo, I mean. And I'm sitting there looking at Jericho standing there in between Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti and Anna J.A.S. and Cool Hand Luke. And it looks like Chris Jericho doing an appearance on stage at a high school assembly. With these are the honor school students that got to stand up on stage with him. So Moxley hates the sports entertainment, and he answers Jericho and makes fun of his new gimmicks and his nicknames and his trademarks. That promo wasn't actually bad because actually this is the best thing. It's two guys that we don't like that also don't like each other, so they can knock each other, and we can kind of enjoy that. But so the gist of this whole conversation is, again, Mark booking. Moxley doesn't want the wizard. He doesn't want the rock star wannabe that we've been getting lately. He doesn't say, I want the old Chris Jericho, the Chris Jericho that was the undisputed WWE champion, the Chris Jericho that main evented pay-per-view against The Rock or whatever the fuck. He has to go back, and he doesn't even say, I want the Chris Jericho from the early days of AEW. He says, I want the Chris Jericho from the Super J Cup. Not the Chris Jericho that drew mega money and was one of the biggest wrestling stars in the world 15 years ago. He wants the Chris Jericho from the Super J Cup 30 years ago.
And not even the original Super J Cup, the second one.
And, I mean, hey, if he wanted any more from Chris Jericho, he'd have to be wearing a diaper and carrying a fucking rattle and drinking out of a baby bottle if he wanted him to go any further back. But he doesn't want the Chris Jericho that was a big star. He wants the Chris Jericho off of tape that he watched in his basement when he was fucking homeless in Cincinnati or whatever.
Well, that wasn't the big one. It was all about, I want the last survivor of the Heart Dungeon.
The last survivor, that I was about to say in the last line, I want the last survivor of the Heart Dungeon. Chris and Lance went to train with the Hart Boys. They didn't train with Stu.
They didn't train with the Hearts. Isn't a story that one of the Hearts showed up on the first day and never showed up again?
Yeah, that the Heart, was it Bruce? It was Bruce Keith, that started the training camp.
Okay, one of those two, yeah.
Bruce or Keith started the training camp, and then Chris and Lance both went from Winnipeg or wherever the fuck they went from and showed up, and I think they saw a Hart brother a day or two, and then they ended up teaching the class that they were in. They ended up being the instructors because they were only two that looked like they could stand up without help.
Wouldn't Teddy Hart be the last survivor of the Hart Dungeon in terms of wrestlers and age and who would have actually been there?
I think they're still waiting for the results of the DNA test before they claim Teddy.
Harry Smith, maybe?
Harry Smith, there you go. But the point is, no, Chris didn't survive the dungeon because he wasn't in the dungeon, because the dungeon was closed to all but intermittent family members at that point. But so this whole thing, that was the first 30 minutes of the show. And apparently we're going to have to watch, because Punk's not going to be ready for All Out or All In or whatever happens Labor Day weekend in Chicago. We're going to have to see the plumber against the trademarker.
Maybe.
If either one of them lasts that long, they've still got, a little over 6 weeks.
They set up an angle, or they did an angle to set things up on Rampage, which I know you didn't watch last night. For some reason, I decided to watch it. You need to watch the show. It's so bad. You need to watch how bad it is. It's really bad.
I've figured that out before. That's why I don't watch it. I don't need to watch it to figure out that it's a rotten program.
Apparently, they're setting it up so Jericho, I think Wednesday, is going to go up against Wheeler Yuta. And the winner of that match gets Moxley.
Oh, good.
Because
Lord.
There's the intrigue of Yuta's had several other matches with Moxley. Yuta, who one of the listeners got in touch and said he sounds like Ben Shapiro on the mic, and he really fucking does.
At least it's not Ben Stein, but go ahead.
But he's kind of over with some of those fans there, but they're going to do that apparently. Him against Jericho, leading into whoever wins, and you got to think it would be Jericho, but at this point you don't know what the booking there.
I have a feeling Jericho's not going to be doing a job for Wheeler Useless.
If Tony gets him to do a job for Wheeler Yuta, you almost got me saying the wrong name now. That would be the most impressive job as a promoter and booker that Tony's ever done.
Well, and actually, what if they're going with Moxley and Jericho for the title at the pay-per-view, then what should happen is Jericho hospitalizes Yuta on Wednesday night.
I've been trying to remember where we saw it most recently, and I can't remember. And it maybe have happened more than one time, but the whole, I don't want you. I want the 1985 version of you. I want the version of you that used to eat wood. I want the version of you that likes bugs. Like, we've seen this several times, and I can't remember who did it recently, but we've seen this several times.
Yeah, you know what that does? That points out to people, that 20 years ago, that guy's a lot better than he is now. He's the shits right now. No wonder he don't want to wrestle that guy. He wants to wrestle a guy he was 20 years ago. But guess what? He's 20 years older, so I guess he's just the shits. I always like to point out the flaws in my pay-per-view main event as a booker, as a promoter. I always like to point out the flaws in those people that are in the match that's supposed to sell my tickets and draw me money.
Can I say one more thing?
I wish you would.
I'm really happy that Anna Jay is getting a shot. Despite whatever you think, out of all the women there, she's been athletic. She seems into everything she does. She's not perfect. And of course, she came out of QT school. She didn't come out of Tom Pritchard school or anything. But she has shown a lot and she's young. So I want to talk directly to her. That guy is going to tell you a bunch of really bad advice. Don't listen to it. Seek out someone else, whether it's CM Punk when he comes back. Seek out anyone else. Don't listen to Jericho. It'll be a disaster. That's all I want to say.